Hey everyone, Vandal here from Local Vape. Today we're going to do a video with our GM Ashley. She actually just got back from the VTA conference on Capitol Hill where they talk about going through processes with the FDA, the PMTAs, and also some good information for how the industry goes, the future of the vape industry. So Ashley, tell us a little bit about the event.
I definitely want to give a shout out to the VTA for hosting a great conference. They had a lot of great presenters. They provided us with a lot of information, and they also provided us, with the opportunity to go to Capitol Hill and meet with senators and congresspeople from our states to discuss our stance on the vaping epidemic.
And that's pretty cool. If you guys didn't know, with the VTA, they actually go there and they have a bunch of great speakers. They come together, and then people like Ashley from the industry would go and then the presentations and learn info from them. But also, you got to speak to people that are in a higher power, like Congress people, correct? Mm-hmm. And so that's pretty cool that the VTA put that on to them. And so, like Ashley said, shout out to the VTA for having the event. But we want to get into something a little bit more specific for you today. We're going to break down what some of these real numbers are for this vaping epidemic and the stats, because not everything is as clear as they're putting out there, especially with mainstream media. So Ashley, you have something here from a doctor that gave a presentation. We want to get into that and tell us a little bit about who he is.
So the presenter that I'm going based off of is Dr. Brad Rodu. He's a senior fellow at the Heartland Institute. He holds an endowed chair, tobacco harm reduction research at the University of Louisville. He also writes a blog. It's called The Tobacco Truth. And he presented with a lot of information that he gained from the 2018 CDC National Youth Tobacco Survey. Goes through and evaluates the data that they provided to us and gives us some real numbers of how many actual underage youth are affected by the vaping epidemic.
So today we're going to get into some of the stats that were provided by the doctor on the presentation. And so Ashley, if you don't mind, let's get right on into that. So what exactly are we going to be talking about today?
So I've created a few slides just so that I can show you guys the actual numbers. On the first slide that we're showing you, as you can see the numbers in red, there are 3.13 million high schoolers who admitted to vaping in 2018. Out of those 3.13 million, there were only 2.5 million that were underage. Of the 2.5 million that were underage, 630,000 of those teenagers admitted to using vapor products for 20 to 30 days within the last month. Now, if we remove the high school students who admitted to trying combustible cigarettes prior to vaping, that leaves us with 1.1 million underage students who have vaped at all within the last month, and only 151,000 of those underage students who vaped for 20 to 30 days within the last month.
And so with that information right there, I just want to make sure I point it out. When you say underage, with these stats that they're including in this, are they counting teenagers that are 18 of a legal age in certain areas and 19 as well into this?
So on the CDC's National Youth Tobacco Survey, they're ranging the ages from age 11 to age 20.
Okay.
So some of these teenagers that are being included in the numbers are actually of legal smoking age.
Okay, and that's a big point right there, guys, is that we got to point that out, that they're using these numbers, I wouldn't necessarily say skewed, but it's definitely not truthful from the get-go, because they're actually including numbers of people that are of legal smoking or vaping age, depending on where they're at. So you're definitely going to have a number of this drop. That's why the numbers have changed, because it's not like high school or school age kids doing this. They're also including the numbers of people that are legally able to do so.
So in the second slide that we're going to show you guys, the first table, we're going to go ahead and remove all the teenagers who admitted to trying combustible cigars prior to trying vapor. That drops our number down to 880,000 underage students who vaped at all within the last month who did not use combustible cigarettes or combustible cigars before trying vapor. Out of those 880,000, 109,000 of those underage students are using on a regular basis, or considered 20 to 30 days within the last month. In the final table, we've also went ahead and removed all the teenagers or underage vapors who have also admitted to using smokeless tobacco prior to vaping. The number that we're left with is 807,000 underage students who vaped at all within the last month. Out of those 807,000, only 95,000 underage students who admitted to vaping vaped for 20 to 30 days within the last month. 95,000 is a lot lower than 3.5 million, which is what the CDC would like you to believe.
Which is an insane number to throw out there, because with the big numbers, of course, like you guys see with mainstream media, this stuff's getting blown up and getting blown out of proportion. And that's the point of what we're doing here today, is to make sure that you guys are getting the stats directly, because information is going to be our greatest weapon in this fight right now. And like Ashley just said and pointed out from the CDC stats alone, it's on there. People just aren't looking for it because it's already being fed to them. So make sure that when you guys are providing these stats, you're able to do your due diligence and get in there and make sure you're getting the right numbers, because this is skewed truth that people are being presented with that are outside the industry that have no idea about vaping whatsoever. So with the next thing right here, what we have on this next slide, what do we got on this one, Ashley?
So it's just another slide that explains the real high school vaping epidemic. 95,000 underage frequent vapors. That's 0.6% of the 14.8 million American high school students that we have in the United States.
Which is not even a full point percentile, which is a very low number, and it's kind of insane to call something an epidemic when it doesn't even hit a full point on any kind of scale. This next slide right here, we have, we want to shout out Rubber Ducky, you're the one on Instagram. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. What is her name, Ashley?
Danielle Jones.
Danielle Jones from Cotton Bacon, and she actually put this slide together, so we want to give a shout out to her, and she also does great advocacy stuff, and if you guys haven't seen it, check her out on Instagram as well.
So in this next slide, it's basically just a summary of the last few slides that we went over. She's using the same information that she obtained through Dr. Brad Rodu and his Tobacco Truth blog. It's just a better way for you to see it in visual aspects, how small of a percentage we're talking about.
And it breaks it down for you pretty easy. And then also, with all the information we're giving you guys today, we're going to create a PDF format file, and you guys can shoot us an email at social media at Local Vape, and I will be able to forward you this information, and you can share it with your shops, your friends, family, and anybody else that needs to get the real truth of what's going on right now. So the next slide that we're going to hit, Ashley, is the FDA survey demonstrates that teens get tobacco from, and then where teens are actually getting tobacco from, and this is from the FDA itself. So if you wouldn't mind explaining this slide a little bit.
So the FDA survey demonstrates that teens get tobacco, 90% of them are getting their tobacco from social sources. That means friends, family, and associates. A lot of these teenagers are getting vapor products from other students who are of legal smoking age, who are going into vape stores or convenience stores or different things like that and purchasing these items legally, bringing them to school, and then either selling them or giving them away to underage users. Only 10% of the active vapors surveyed stated that they actually purchased their items from a vape shop or from a retail shop. It's important to understand when we're talking about banning flavors or knocking these businesses out of the loop, that's not where most of these kids are getting their products from. Making it harder for adults to purchase these items in some way, I guess, does affect their ability to get them to the children. However, I don't really see it fixing any sort of a black market type of a situation.
And like you said, with the FDA survey itself, it shows that only 10% of that was purchased from a spot, which most people know in the industry, not necessarily mom and pop, but small gas stations or places like that where they don't really pay attention. A kid could go in and buy it without getting ID checked. And then they're not actually going into like vape shops for the most part, or stores or anything buying this. They're getting it from social sources, which means that if you want to really take care of your kids that are doing these things, you need to be more proactive and being a part of their lives, or going in and actually interacting with them, because they're not taking the money that they don't have or that you've given them as an allowance or something like that and going into a store. They're buying it from their older brothers, their cousins, their weird guy up the street. And so it's more about policing the youth around us and paying more attention to what's going on, and actually taking initiative to ensure that as peers in the community, we're not letting these kids get these things. And then if there's some way that we see them getting it, to find out where they got it from and to actually take action against those people that are providing it, instead of trying to just blanket ban everything that's actually helping adults. Because if it was legal for them to do it, they would already be doing it. It's illegal as it is. So putting restrictions on adults isn't going to help this at all, because these kids that are actually going out and getting it from social sources aren't doing it the same way that an adult would do it in a legal shop.
Yeah, I agree as well. A lot of the argument on the side of our industry is that we would like to hold these children, their parents, their social sources more accountable. And there's a couple of people in the industry who are working on new technology that may allow us to trace, the location or the purchase of
to the point
juice
of sale.
To the point of sale, so that we can actually identify exactly where these children are getting these products.
And that's the initiative that we need in the industry, especially because no matter how people paint it, they're going to use kids against us as a shock factor and shock value. But we got to make sure to stay proactive on this, whether you're a part of the industry or you're a normal consumer, to not, pass these things on to anyone else. Or if you see it going on, to actually hold them accountable. It's kind of crazy to see that these kids that are admitting illegally using these products are instead being put on the news or on these articles in newspapers and stuff like that, instead of holding them accountable. So it's kind of like a get out of jail free card. And so if they see that this is going on continually, it's not going to stop future people or children that think that they can get away with it by going on TV or talking about it. Instead, hold them accountable and hold the parents accountable. It's about taking responsibility. I don't think we have too much more to hit on this, but we do have some info links that will pop up on this next slide for you. What do we have on this one, Ashley?
So I just want to give big thanks to Dr. Brad Rodu for his extensive review of the CDC's 2018 National Youth Tobacco Survey. I also want to thank Danielle Jones for providing us with some of the graphics used in this presentation. And to let you guys know, be sure to follow Dr. Brad Rodu's blog, Tobacco Truth, at www.rodutobacco.blogspot.com. If you're interested in following Danielle Jones, she has Instagram and Twitter at Rubber Ducky, You're the One. Thank you guys for watching. And just to let you know, we're going to have links to all of these websites available for you down below.
I want to say thank you to Ashley for going on and doing this video for us, and then also make sure you guys subscribe for any future updates. We're going to provide videos every week of something new, and just make sure you keep up to date, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you guys next time.